What is going on here? Hmm. What do you mean excellent, dude? Like, this is such... What? Uh, what a disaster. What is this? This is not what this is not what I signed up for here. What I planned before, dude. What is happening here? All right. I think that we're sorted. But now this thing, I forgot how I put it over here. How did I move that? I'm gonna boomer this too, dude. No, picks. I haven't been put on the whitelist. I appreciate that, UK Polska. Yeah, yeah. It was very weird. It was very, very weird. Okay, now let me move this. Dude, I completely forgot how to move this over. Maybe like this? Yeah, like that. Okay. I'm just gonna put it right here. There we go. Ah, much better. Dude. So yeah, guys, like, it sucks that my first live stream that happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I did not think I don't know. Some of you guys are telling me that I needed to pause more. Yeah, it's been such a long stream and I love being here with you guys, you know. Um I didn't want to, keep going and the song I was digging the song too. But yeah, I don't get it, dude. Like this all happened like that and I don't get it. I don't get it. Can you guys hear me okay? Can anybody hear me okay? Thanks, Adina. I tried. Okay. So, we're going to try to do this again and let's hope that this works out better, huh? All right, the 8. And thank you so much guys for coming.
Me swirled around like a mismatched soup. On one hand, I was full of anger and I was bitter about the whole situation. but I was also hopeful that this new path could offer me the relief that I desperately needed. He told me he was going to refer me to an ME clinic in Bath. I'd never heard of it before, but instinctively true to character, I started researching it online as soon as I got home. Apparently ME is the medical equivalent of a choose-your-own-adventure book, with tiredness as the only consistent plotline. There were no universally accepted reasons as to why the fuck it existed in the first place. It seemed it was largely accepted to be a post-viral condition, but that was all speculative because there were no clear consensus in the medical community what ME even was. The defining characteristic was a tiredness that wouldn't go away with rest. I could relate to this. In fact, I could more than relate to it. For anyone lucky enough to have not have experienced this, if you want an idea of what it's like, force yourself to stay awake for 3 nights in a row. During this time, eat the food that makes you feel terrible, and in this sleep-deprived state, exercise until your muscles give out. By the 3rd day, you'll have a small insight into living with this condition. During
he paints a picture that is pretty bad. It's almost like devoid of hope, really. But thankfully, I'm glad to see our boy pulled through. But he's still in it. He's still in that grind. Thank you guys. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
In the years post-stem cell transplant, where I recovered a lot of my health and functionality, I remember getting COVID and thinking it was a walk in the park compared to the first year of my illness. The difference was COVID lasted about a week. The thick of my illness lasted 8 years, and it only was getting worse. I pinned a lot of hope on going to that first visit at the ME clinic. It was a 6-month waiting list, God bless NHS wait times, but I felt excited to be surrounded by people who would understand me, where I could climb out of this nightmare. But my hopes were pretty quickly crushed during that first visit. I remember walking into a space that looked like a disused classroom where a bunch of people on chairs were sitting around in circles like Alcoholics Anonymous. I could feel a sense of camaraderie and that we all felt like dog shit. We were all confused and we were all desperately wanting to feel better. I believe at the time I was probably the youngest in the group. The group leader waddled in and handed us all a booklet that looked like a school timetable. She then sat us down and told about this new revolutionary technique called pacing, where you write down and track everything that you do in a day, and then you do it less. And then with time, do it more again. The theory being that you have a limited bucket of energy compared to normal people, and you need to protect that and gradually push it. I thought this sounded pretty stupid, so I raised my hand. I told her about the pain.
That does sound rather stupid. Like, I am so sorry that some of you guys are going through it too, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
The theory being that you have a limited bucket of energy compared to normal people, and you need to protect that and gradually push it. I thought this sounded pretty stupid, so I raised my hand. I told her about the pain in my body. I told her that my muscles twitched constantly. I told her that my bones ached. I told her that my mouth was dry. I couldn't focus. That some days they'd be without mercy and I'd be trapped in bed for the whole day. But the days that I wasn't, I wanted to make the most of it. I wanted to breathe the air and I wanted to live. She told me she understood it's hard, but she didn't really offer more than that. She just pointed at the booklet and told me to follow it. I asked her about things like heavy metal poisoning, about chronically reactivating viruses, about defective mitochondria, about all the things that I read that were linked to chronic fatigue, but she just raised an eyebrow, looked at me like I was a hypochondriac and told me she knew nothing about those things. I remember walking out of the building feeling disheartened and defeated.
For 8 years is a long time, dude. I mean, think about it. The average human used to be 79 years of age. I don't know what it is currently because I think it's gone down. But the average lifespan is going to be like 79 years. So just round it up to 80. 8 years, a tenth of your life in pain. A tenth of your life through this like horrible, hellacious crucible. It's like a gauntlet that he ran, dude. Oof. Marmot, that's very kind of you. Yep. Anybody who needs a hug, anybody who needs an attaboy, an attagirl. Yeah, mama, yeah, that's... I am very sorry. I'm sorry you gotta go through all that. You are a trooper, though. Just like Ghost said. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
So much so that my legs buckled as I was walking home. I began to sob uncontrollably on the side of the road. An old woman knelt down to comfort me and asked me what was wrong. I didn't even really know how to explain, so I just told her that I missed my friend. Despite my skepticism, I stuck to the program for at least half a year, and I kept going for my periodic visits to the clinic, and it did jack shit. In fact, I got worse. I was always getting worse. One thing that particularly struck me about the ME support groups was the pure desperation and confusion. With most other conditions, you're given a diagnosis, a prognosis of whether it's going to kill you, and what you can do to manage it or cure it. With ME, you don't get that. You get an indeterminately long sentence to purgatory. You feel worse than you've ever felt in your whole life, and you're given no explanation as to why, and no signpost pointing the way out. There was no selection bias to the people suffering. Members of the group were anything from esteemed ex-lawyers to single parents to former athletes. One thing I can say, these people were for the most part all extremely driven and collectively mourning their old lives. There's a stigma that because ME's predominant presentation of symptoms is tiredness, that its victims are just being lazy. I can tell you firsthand that me and every single person I've met with genuine ME would rather run 1,000 marathons than have to live another week with the tiredness and the unrelenting fatigue.
Wow.
We were at war with our tiredness, trying desperately to escape it, and some of us would go to extreme lengths to turn ourselves into guinea pigs to try and find ways out. Suicide was pretty common in those online support groups.
Gee. It's all pretty morbid, bro. Good Lord. Wow.
Find ways out. Suicide was pretty common in those online support groups. It was around this time I was swallowed into the music industry. I was out busking on the streets one day and I noticed this sketchy, good-looking Mauritian guy with his arms crossed watching me, really intensely, as though he was studying every lyric coming out of my mouth. He approached me and asked me if the songs I was singing were mine. I said they were. A big smile was painted across his face, and he told me he just finished recording Plan B's latest record, which turned out to be The Defamation of Strickland Banks, one of my favourite albums of all time. He was looking for a new project to sink his teeth into, and he asked me if I'd come to London to record. We got into it. The whole time I felt dreadful, but this was a lifelong dream materialising in front of my eyes, so bit by bit, when I could, I'd get the train to London and start chipping away at my first ever album. I didn't really let on how I was feeling during this time because I didn't want to sabotage it. There would be times I'd finish up in the vocal booth after doing the take, excuse myself to go to the toilet, throw up from the dizziness I was experiencing, sometimes with specks of blood, and then I'd go back and pretend that nothing had happened.
You gotta respect this man's work ethic, you know? Jeez. Good Lord. I mean, for real.
I'd be sitting around with the whole room spinning and would pretend I was fine. There was only so long that I was able to keep this up. Eric told me it'd be a cool idea for me to start going to industry showcases and start building buzz. Performing live like this was a whole new level of taxing that I wasn't ready for, but I was so ferociously ambitious that I just ploughed through. The usual way it would go is I'd be in the back of Charlie's car, the whole world would be spinning, I'd be trying my best to sleep in it all day, parked up outside of whatever venue or pub it was in London, trying to conserve energy for the show. Sometimes I'd cry a little before I performed. My whole body would be burning. Then I'd brush it off and I'd get on stage and I'd perform as best I could. People would come up to me at the end, pat me on the back. I'd smile and pretend to be charismatic. Then I'd get back in the car and I wish I was in bed and have to endure a 3-hour drive back to Bath from London.
That too, bro. To be that bad and then you can't even go straight home. I mean, yeah, there are more major aspects of this story. But that's a pain in the ass too. A 3-hour drive when you're sick as shit. Oh, fuck, dude. Like, I know I'm not the only one that has needed to get home or to a hospital quickly, and the drive was, you know, like an hour at most, and that was like hell. That's happened to me, and it was like a 40-minute drive because I just started throwing up out of nowhere, and yeah, dude, like a 3-hour drive. Oof. Yeah. I hate driving, so.
There was only a few shows where I could keep pretending. I'd usually be trying to disguise the fact that my body was trembling through the fatigue and pain. Eventually I started crying mid-set. It became blindingly obvious to everyone working with me during that time that something was very wrong. I told Eric that I needed to take some time out. My plan was to live at home with my mum for a month maximum, get my energy back, and come and finish the record. That 1 month turned into 2 months, turned into 3 months, turned into 6 months. I pushed myself to total burnout. The distance led to me and that angel breaking up, in part because it was difficult to navigate a relationship when you have so much brain fog, and I didn't know what it was well enough to be able to explain it to her at the time. With a loud thud, I'd been jolted out of a Shakespeare...
Damn, bro, so he lost a girlfriend. I don't know how long they ended up, you know, being together, but like so many little things that you like maybe wouldn't think about happened to him as a result of this. You're like, yeah, the pain and suffering, but it's the little things. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. Jeez, dude.
Storyline. I lost the record deal and I couldn't get out of bed. My friends from Trick the Fox never really called to check up on me. It felt like the whole world was moving at lightning speed without me. I had this amazing opportunity right in front of me, and I was chained to the floor. I was alone. I was sick. I wished that my condition would get it over with and kill me, but it wouldn't, and it felt cruel that it wouldn't. It just let me rot in bed. The whole world would continue to turn, and I would rot. In the next episode, I'm going to tell you about a fight with a television and losing my anal virginity to an 80-year-old man. Stay tuned for that.
What? What the hell? What? See, like, I don't know anymore. Cause he's laughing about it, but like, is he joking?
I'm going to tell you about a fight with a television and losing my anal virginity to an 80-year-old man. Stay tuned for that.
He's kidding, right?
My thought patterns are composed by a time bomb for an author, like pigs to the slaughter. A symphony of self-doubt sings out, breath starts getting shorter. Running water is the state that I wish to become. Instead, concrete envelops my movement and I'm rendered deaf and dumb, unable...
I like that. Let's run that back. That rhyme scheme was pretty cool. Yeah, dude, I... Like... Every 55 seconds? Okay. Thanks, Mama. Appreciate it. Still learning. I'm still learning.
Pigs to the slaughter. A symphony of self-doubt sings out, breath starts getting shorter. Running water is the state that I wish to become. Instead, concrete envelops my movement and I'm rendered deaf and dumb, unable to heed the advice of others. Don't tell me things will get better, cause so far things haven't gotten better. I've got the sweater, poster child, bipolar, ADHD, therapist, wet dream.
Damn, that's sick too, bro. Therapist, wet dream. Dude, the more you listen to Ren, the more you like get his Renisms and his like the way he states things. He's not saying I'm a poster child of bipolar and ADHD. He's literally saying poster child, bipolar, ADHD. And you know that after listening to him a little bit, you know that he means I'm the poster child for bipolar and ADHD. But technically that's not what he's saying, is it? All right, let's run it back a little bit. I said a little bit. There we go.
Thought patterns are composed by a time bomb for an author, like pigs to the slaughter. A symphony of self-doubt sings out, breath starts getting shorter. Running water is the state that I wish to become. Instead, concrete envelops my movement and I'm rendered deaf and dumb, unable to heed the advice of others. Don't tell me things will get better, cause so far things haven't gotten better. I've got the sweater, poster child, bipolar, ADHD, therapist, wet dream. I don't want to talk about my father, I don't want to talk about my dead friend, I don't want to talk about myself. I'm sick of talking about myself, I'm sick of talking about myself and realizing that talking about myself never ever helps.
And look at what I paused it on. Still, I call for help. That is really, really significant. It's very significant. He's just sick of the process. He's maybe feeling hopeless, you know, that learned helplessness. He just thinks that there's not going to be any light at the end of the tunnel. Dude, sometimes we get like that, but we got to remember that no matter how bad it gets, someone is going through it even harder than you, no matter how bad it gets. Like, I feel like there really is no such thing as rock bottom sometimes. And I'm not saying that as like an ironclad, you know, position of mine, but sometimes I really kind of whimsically will think, damn, is there a rock bottom? Is that really a thing? Or can it always just get worse? Because it definitely feels like that. Like it could always get worse. You know? To me. Whereas, like, it seems like the positive, like the limit, that, you know, the mountains, the peaks, whatever, of life, they seem to have a limit. Or maybe that's just me being super pessimistic. I don't know.
I'm sick of talking about myself and realizing that talking about myself never ever helps. Still, I call for help, cause I really want help. But the pills didn't seem to help, and the therapist didn't seem to help. But still, I want help. I've danced with the devil in hell, I've sat in a prisonless cell, and here I always dwell, in this prison in myself. I do this thing when my mind travels.
Wow, guys, so he's literally feeling like his body's a prison because he's going through this hellish experience. Like, dude. Yeah, man.
I always dwell in this prison in myself. I do this thing when my mind travels back to the golden age. You know those times where you were carefree and everything was golden? The golden age. You know those times where everything was golden, where you were carefree and everything was golden? The hardest thing I ever had to do was come to terms with the fact that that time never really existed. I've always felt so fucking detached and broken, bruised and mismatched. Find it hard to relax, live.
now the bluesy influence is coming in, right? Really, really cool. Really nice use of a different genre in there.
Find it hard to relax, living under the cracks. Tried to fill in the gaps, lying here on my back. Still, I can't find it. Sense of peace in my mind declined it. Pulse increase and my sweat combines with a feeling so deep I fall inside it. Depression, I hate you, depression. Your constant oppression, respond with aggression. They say depression brings you lessons. Constant stressing conceals blessings. You will grow in broken settings. Fuck those lessons, fuck depression. I've been living.
It's a lot easier said than done, right? But his flow is so sick. And I feel like he's truly trying to work, you know, on the side of angels, you know? I really do feel that way. But I can totally feel what he's getting at too from the depression. It's a vicious cycle, y'all. It's and I know that a lot of you guys in chat are going through it too. So I know you guys can understand what Ren means. And I think that's important, because sometimes all we need is to be understood. You know, not like validated or anything, because validation should be something that comes from inside. You know, and I say that as somebody who, like, if I'm being honest, I really am like an addict for validation, like for real. But that's something that I need to learn. That validation comes from within, you know. If I make good life choices, if I am, you know, good to people and I can live with myself, validation comes from within, you know. But again, easier said than done.
Blessings, you will grow in broken settings. Fuck those lessons, fuck depression. I've been living in your shadow for so long that I forgot how I can shine, how I can find a refuge in my mind. How am I meant to sit here and unwind? The planets align. I feel like I'm cursed, feel like I'm cursed to just be here to hurt. Feel like I'm cursed to just be here to bleed, but my demons been feeling this way since birth.
Damn, dude. So he has been feeling depressed since he was a little kid. Nikki Bridges says he calls his music a companion for those of us who find comfort in it, and it absolutely does become a good companion. Fully agree. Fully agree. Oh, I got a funny story in regards to that, mama. So like I got really bad neck. One of the things that I have, I go to this pain institute, right? And I go to the doctor, and I'm like, please tell me that I'm not making something out of nothing. And he's like, no, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You've got, and I think he called it retrolesthesis. And to make a long story short, he took me through whatever type of crazy cycles, which ended up, the last treatment was to supposedly laser my nerves so that I literally was not supposed to feel anything. Dude, it was okay. It was like maybe a temporary relief, maybe, but I think it was a complete like placebo effect, because after like a month I was like, bro, this is the same shit. Like I wasted my time, my money, and my hope, like Ren says, right, on a treatment that ended up being bupkis. But you know, I imagine that these treatments have to help someone. I don't know. In the comments under Hi Ren, he says he started hearing voices around 9 years old. Wow. And yeah, I gotta agree, Dottie Murray. Yeah, absolute Murray. I'm sorry. Dottie Murray. Parents went through a divorce at 16 and doesn't help with teen depression. Absolutely. He was bullied at 5 years of age, Sheila Ferreira says. Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Appreciate that. That's very kind of you, for real. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Mama Montoya. So yeah, so you get it then. So you totally get it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Dottie. Really sorry to hear that. I think that this is a pretty cool support group, if you want to call it that, you know? But it's nicer to say that we're just renegades, you know? And we're here for each other. So it's positive energy all the way around, dude. All the way around. All right. And I did also want to say I got caught up in the important conversations that you guys were having in chat. But I love the way he just kind of very rawly, is that a word? I'll make it up. Who cares, right? That'll be a Mavism. He rawly says, "Fuck you, I hate you," basically, and that's just, dude. What else do you got? You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you have to take back power that was in your mind taken from you, agency taken from you, and that's the problem with chronic pain. Your agency is taken from you. But my mother's a prime example of this, you know? They gave her 6 months to live, and she lived 11 and a half years, bro. 11 and a half years. And she said, nope, I'm not. I'm going to live. And she forced herself to go through those awful chemo treatments. And dude, she would go to the chemo treatments in between lunch, on her lunch break, and then go back to school. It was crazy, dude. And taking her to do it and being involved in that, and it was just insane. It was just insane. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. It changes you. It really does.
Depression, I hate you. 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 Depression, I hate you.
See, jeez. Wow. That was powerful. That ended kind of like with the feelings of I think it's just called Stan, right? From the first Eminem LP, where it just ends in a bad way and you're just kind of like stuck with the message. Oof. All right, guys. You know what's next? Chapter 4. And then we have to call it for today. Thank you so much for you guys. Most of you have been with me from the start. I really appreciate it. Like, I can't articulate how much I appreciate it. This was really fun, and it was an experience that I really am gonna treasure. You guys are a trip.
Cool.
He's so funny, bro.
During the year I spent living back with my mum, I was leaning even more heavily into scouring the internet for answers. It became...
Hey, Ghost, I love talking with you guys. I really do, because you guys, we all have different viewpoints, right? And I never said you guys were a cult. But we all have different viewpoints, but we come at each other in good faith. And I think that that's the only way that we can ever make progress, especially if we're talking about issues that are going to require cooperation, which is probably going to be everything, right? But I don't know, man. Again, maybe it's naivete. You know, maybe I learned a word, right, from the dictionary app. I think it's called Panglossian, which is like overly optimistic to the point of like destruction. Could it be Panglossian to think that one day we'll have world peace and we'll actually ascend into a more caring, more compassionate type of of race of people, and when I say race, I mean the human race. I don't mean any type of colors or anything. That's ridiculous. We are, you know, we are warring amongst ourselves when there is so much wrong right now, you know. And I know a lot of people don't like him, but Elon Musk is making some valuable points, which he made a really good one the other day on X. He said that you know, from the first flight, which, you know, the Wright brothers, to the landing on the moon was something like 60 years. And now it's been, I think he said it's going to be what is it, 56 or 60 years, and they don't and we have no idea how to get back to the moon. The technology was lost. That's insane, dude. That's insane. Like, that's just gonna invite the conspiracy theorists to postulate, you know? All right, here we go, guys.
Came like an obsession. Most people my age were watching porn. I was on PubMed learning about mitochondria. I educated myself in things like methylation, the building blocks of mitochondria, various immune cells and their functionality, and which supplements could help theoretically bring about homeostasis in my body. I taught myself of the various pathogens that could lead to the symptoms I was experiencing. Around this time, I started ordering medical test kits from private medical facilities. I had a eureka moment when, after posting some poop in a tube to a lab in London, I discovered I had an amoeba and another more benign gastrointestinal parasite called blastohominis. Both could plausibly lead to systemic pain and fatigue. Upon researching the best course of action, I found this doctor in New York who was a world-renowned specialist in treating parasites. Return flights to New York, booked far enough in advance, were recovered.
He's literally the only advocate that he seems to be having. You know? What? Thank you, Brandy. Yes, I was very nervous. But you guys made me feel right at home. I still feel like I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll boomer it until I get it, I think. I agree with you, Sheila. But the thing is, I feel like a lot of, see, I mentioned Chester from Linkin Park earlier, right? Yeah, thank God he's a persistent little bugger indeed, Jack. I think that thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I lost my thought. What was I saying? Oh yeah. No, of course you have to be your own best advocate, right? You have to. But in a medical field, you would expect doctors to not be so like, oh, there's nothing I can do for you. Go fuck yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of person that shouldn't be a doctor. And I say that in respect to other fields too. Like, if you have impatience, you should not be a police officer, you know, or a teacher for that matter, because what the hell, dude? How many people are going to get it right the first time? You got to be patient, right? All right, here we go.
Couple of £100 back then. The treatment itself was pretty cheap. I was in no way in a strong financial position, and neither was my family, so I did what I always do when I needed to get money. I wrote and recorded some songs from my laptop from bed. One about getting to New York to find a cure. I sold a modest amount of digital copies to my Facebook friends and my friends and family, just enough to afford a trip. During this time, my symptoms had gotten a lot worse, so the entire...
That's pretty cool to say that you got your your plane ticket from your music. That is so cool, dude. That is so cool.
My visit was a bit of a blur. I remember sitting in a waiting room and struggling to find an inch of wall space that wasn't taken up by the countless medical qualifications and the diplomas attached to it. I half expected the walls to start bragging about their Ivy League connections and debating the latest medical research while us mere mortals waited to be called in. When I was finally on the doctor's table, I was told to take off my clothes and put on a blue disposable paper robe. An old man in his 80s hobbled in, pulled on a medical glove, and proceeded to cover his finger in Vaseline. My heart sunk. I was pretty sure I knew what was coming next. I suddenly wished I'd experimented more with my ex-girlfriend.
Hilarious.
I didn't want to lose my backdoor virginity like this. He could have at least done me the courtesy of putting on some Marvin Gaye and lighting some candles. But
He's too much, bro. He doesn't even try. He's just himself, and he just oozes, charisma. He's charming just in his affect alone, bro. He's just like, yeah, I lost my anal virginity, like what? Like, who talks like that, bro? Like, no, dude, I'm telling you right now, if I'm gonna share something right now that might make me lose my man card for real, but I had to go to a proctologist, whatever, and let's just say I'm a tight ass. So I had to be put on the table, and I'm pretty sure that it was duct tape, okay, that kept my butt open. And bro, he didn't kiss me goodnight or offer me dinner, nothing. He just went in there, and I'm pretty sure he went up to his wrist. And then some other doctor came who was a specialist in I don't even know what, and he didn't like go in, but kind of like around, and it was just not. It was like one of the worst experiences in my life. So I totally sympathize with him on that. Because that was something that was like not okay, bro. Like I'm sorry to the proctologists out there. Thank you for being doctors, but you guys are dicks. Like not even, bro, I don't know. It's a lot.
instead I lay in uncomfortable silence on a brightly exposed operating table, while a firm-handed, overqualified old man inserted his index finger forcefully into my anus. He never wrote to me afterwards. I felt used.
Holy shit. Oh, dude. Yeah, Robert. It's normal, but it hurts. It hurts. Because the thing is, I had an anal fissure, dude. And I was bleeding out my bum. For UK, pleasure to meet you, little chicks. Thank you for being here. You've been here, like, from the beginning, I think. And, dude, it sucked. It was just not a good experience, bro. Like, in any way. Like, I know it's not meant to be. But people talk about the dentist, but I don't think they talk enough about the proctologist. Like, that guy, I don't know, man. And then if you get somebody who has no bedside manner like I got, you know, you feel like a piece of shit afterwards, you know? And he never wrote to me afterwards. I felt used. That's hilarious, dude. That's absolutely hilarious.
And if you feel I got you, baby.
Nonetheless, I was officially diagnosed with the parasitic amoeba and given a course of heavy-duty antibiotics to take. I believe it was paramomycin and secnidazole. After the course was finished, I pooped into a tube.
Dude, I love it. Look, he put on Futurama. Futurama. For those of you that haven't seen it, you need to... I know it's a cartoon, but it gets deep, 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 deep. Not like the proctologist deep, but deep.
Again, and they confirmed I got rid of the parasites. The constant internal techno raves and gurgling which usually plagued my stomach ceased, but I felt just as crap.
What the
And
hell?
on top of all of that, I started becoming allergic to everything. And I mean fucking everything. The antibiotics had triggered some sort of massive food intolerance reaction. Whenever I'd eat certain foods, I'd get hit with a sudden hangover-like feeling, and my face would swell up. I'd later learn this was something called MCAS, and it was triggered by the antibiotics. This was the first time I felt the crushing defeat of pinning a lot of money, hopes, and time into a treatment only for it to make me worse.
Oh.
I'd felt it to a small degree with every failed herbal protocol, every antidepressant that gave me side effects, but this was on a much larger scale. I almost felt guilty and full of shame for not getting better. I told my
Dude, that has totally happened to me before. And Mr. Matt Kavanaugh, yeah. Absolutely. But that is something that has totally happened to me before. Where, like, a doctor puts me on a med and doesn't do anything. And I feel bad that it didn't do anything. But why? Why should I feel bad? You know, why should I feel shame because it just didn't work? But you still feel it. I can't really understand it either. But I definitely understand where he's coming from. I've definitely had that same feeling.
friends and family that this was going to be the thing that cured me. Not only did it fail, but I was now unable to tolerate basic carbohydrates, fruits, sugar, high histamine food, dairy, grains, without feeling terrible. I felt pretty crushed about that. Despite this, some tenacious...
So wait a second, because a lot of you have said this to me, okay? He's got like a crazy strict diet, right? He's still on that crazy strict diet, right? Or am I wrong on that? I know you guys will correct me. I hope you guys correct me. Frankly, I need you to correct me. Yeah, I hate that too, Nikki. 9 things? Damn. What? So he's just stuck like that now? With that diet? He's just... Wow, man. Oh my goodness. Wow. Jeez. Oh, that is sad. I couldn't do it. Nah, you know what, bro? Like, I don't know. Zucchini, butternut squash, and recently reintroduced rice. Wow, dude. Wow. Whew. That is crazy, y'all. That is crazy.
part of me had a perseverance that didn't want to stop looking for answers. I was obsessed with trawling the internet. I strongly believe if I didn't have that tenacity to keep looking after every defeat, I'd probably be dead today.
And that shouldn't be. It should never get to this level. Like, I understand someone falling through the cracks, you know? I'm not saying it's okay, but it's going to happen statistically, right? But how do you fall through the cracks only to then fall through the cracks and then fall through the cracks? And you know what I mean? Because how many people have failed Ren? Dozens? Hundreds? Because he sounds like he was going to a different doctor every week. And this is happening for 8 years? That's freaking crazy. It had to be blended? Oh.
After about a year of living with my mum in North Wales, I got the itch, and I decided that I'd make a bold move to Brighton. Most days I didn't really have the energy to do much other than short walks, but I had a friend over there who lived with Emmy for years. It felt like a safe space, a place of understanding. Being a 23-year-old living with his mother didn't feel very cool either. He had a free room going, and he was a legend. I desperately craved my own independence. After going through the heartbreak of losing love and losing the exciting career opportunity, I needed to feel like I wasn't just sitting in the tomb in Wales waiting for death, even if it was a struggle. I made the move. It was a really nurturing space, and it was full of the lunatics of Brighton who would come and go. I was still living in a thick haze, but I was meeting people who weren't judging me for it. With this safety, I was slowly finding my personality again. Despite the comfortable environment, it seemed my symptoms were only getting worse. I started having pretty constant panic attacks. The first one felt like a heart attack. I'd never experienced a panic attack before, so I wasn't familiar with the symptoms. My whole face went numb.
Remember we spoke about, I think by now it's the first stream, the one that got taken down. Remember we were talking about mental health? Panic attacks are like no joke. And you will still have people in 2025 that will tell you, bro, he's just making a big deal out of nothing. He just needs to relax, or she needs to, relax, whatever. And it's like, no, bro. No. It's very real. Just let them work it out. Give them the opportunity to work it out, and let's stop with this stupid stigma. Because it's just, it's ridiculous.
And my heart felt like it was about to beat out of my rib cage. I panicked and I phoned an ambulance. They put me in the back, they took all my vitals, and they told me I wasn't dying. I felt disappointed. These attacks would happen pretty habitually every week or so.
Oh, hell.
My symptoms of derealization seemed ever increasing. Derealization is hard to describe to someone who's never experienced it. The closest thing I can come to is feeling like you're on bad drugs. You feel disconnected from yourself, like your soul has been vacuumed out of your body, and nothing around you quite feels real. Everything has an unusual undertone, and nothing feels safe. I remember one night in the first year that I lived with Ben, there was this lightning storm of torrential rain. I went outside and I stood in a t-shirt hoping I'd be hit by a bolt of lightning and it would somehow shock me out of it. Unfortunately, I wasn't on Zeus's hit list that day. This urge to be shocked back into reality didn't really leave me. I remember one day I was walking back from the shops. I found an old analog television in an alleyway that was being thrown out. I can't quite remember the thought process that led me there. I just remember feeling angry, and I decided to smash the fucking pieces out of the TV in the alley. I picked it above my head and I hurled it towards the ground. The screen cracked, but it didn't shatter like I hoped it would. I did it again and again and again until there were large shards of glass lining the street. I saw one about the size of a kitchen knife and I picked it up. It's hard to rationally explain self-harm that's not a cry for help, because this wasn't a cry for help. I'd cried for help multiple times and no one listened. The pain I felt inside my body could never be done justice with words. There's a certain horror, a certain frustration of living in a body that would never give me a moment of peace. I felt constantly alienated. I had no doctors to tell me what was going on. They made me feel like a hypochondriac. There are no combination of words in the English language that can express that pain, that can express that frustration. There's no song I could write that would make you understand. In that moment, the closest and truest way I had.
Wow. That is like super significant. It was so horrific that he literally thinks that there's no song that could do it justice.
Of communicating my pain was driving a shard of glass into my chest and dragging it across until the blood was dripping down my body. It didn't hurt very much compared to what was already going on inside of me, and it didn't really help me feel better either, but it was truth, and there was beauty in that. Adrenaline gives you a brief moment of respite.
That's true.
But it wasn't long until I was exactly where I started, just decorated in a little bit more blood than usual. I made sure nobody saw. I didn't want to cause any alarm. I didn't want anyone to be worried. So I cleaned it up when I got home, and then I resumed the life of the undead. In the next episode, I'll tell you the story of when I was stabbed by an ancient sword, and when I met one of the most talented people that I know.
An ancient sword? Dude, we gotta get him to do a biopic on him, dude. For real. Like, his life is... And it would benefit others, you know? Because a lot of people that would watch a biopic, right? Would never go to, like, YouTube and watch one of his videos. So they need to make a biopic. They need to. It would be a wrap. Alright, so let's listen to this song. And I'm going to have to pause it because I don't want to get copyright. Any type of copyright strike. Not that Ren would do it, but, you know, I've been having problems with it.
I got tears on my sleeves, hold on, and holes in these jeans, hold on. I haven't slept in weeks, hold on. I haven't found no peace, hold on. I get my teeth tied, hold on, and these tears run dry, hold on. Two bloodshot eyes, hold on, two bloodshot eyes. I don't belong here, in a place where life has left me. I'm 25 going on 150. My body feels old and I'm trying to lift the weight from my soul, but it's moving against me. I've emptied out my theodox, I lift my middle finger up, I'm screaming fuck you to all the demons here.
I like this. I like this a lot. It sounds like it's got like a Caribbean reggae thing going on, but I don't know. Yeah, Jack, see, that's the thing. He's lived such an interesting life, but I think that his struggles could help someone that might be going through a similar situation, that would you know, maybe go to a movie theater or maybe watch it on Netflix or whatever, but wouldn't, you know, watch it on YouTube. Because there's some people that no matter what, they don't want to go on YouTube. There's, you know, I don't know what that's about, but, you know, like, I'll be honest, I didn't want to even download the Rumble app. But then, you know, more and more people got on there and it became a little bit more of a, you know, conservative thing. And I had to download the damn Rumble app, you know. But there's some people that for whatever reason they refuse to come on YouTube. I don't know why. They don't. YouTube is like so convenient. It's got its bad things too, obviously, but let's just go a little bit back. Bam. And the captions suck, dude.
Hold on, and holes in these jeans, hold on. I haven't slept in weeks, hold on. I haven't found no peace, hold on. I get my teeth tied, hold on, and these tears run dry, hold on. Two bloodshot eyes, hold on, two bloodshot eyes. I don't belong here, in a place where life has left me. I'm 25 going on 150. My body feels old and I'm trying to lift the weight from my soul, but it's moving against me. I've emptied out my theodox, I lift my middle finger up, I'm screaming fuck you to all the demons here that keep me stuck. The pain is sharp like paper cuts, I hate them much, but yes I trust. I must combust, I must blow up, I must roll this courage up. Boom, sparks fill the room, I'm feeling the rhythm I move. My soul is more worn than the soles in my shoes. Nike trainer blues, a man with none to lose. I think I lost my sanity, calamity in shoes. Poor choice maker, I rip out the pages of fate, then I roll them up like bizzle of paper. Taker, lung full of destiny, a man with no part is a very strange entity. Tears on my sleeves, hold on, and holes in these jeans, hold on. I haven't slept in weeks.
Dude, the entire song changes back and forth. It's so cool. Like, it goes from sounding like a reggae song, kind of, to this bluesy, to this, like, it's kind of like like pop bluesy, like, you know what I'm saying, for everyone?
My middle finger up, I'm screaming fuck you to all the demons here that keep me stuck. The pain is sharp like paper cuts, I hate them much, but yes I trust. I must combust, I must blow up, I must roll this courage up. Boom, sparks fill the room, I'm feeling the rhythm I move. My soul is more worn than the soles in my shoes. Nike trainer blues, a man with none to lose. I think I lost my sanity, calamity in shoes. Poor choice maker, I rip out the pages of fate, then I roll them up like bizzle of paper. Taker, lung full of destiny, a man with no part is a very strange entity. Tears on my sleeves, hold on, and holes in these jeans, hold on. I haven't slept in weeks, hold on. I haven't found no peace, hold on. I get my teeth tied, hold on, and and these tears run dry. Hold on, two bloodshot eyes. Hold on, two bloodshot eyes. Do you ever question your fate? The questions I make, is this all predetermined, the script or a play? Am I the protagonist in this tragedy, or will I be the author of stories unmade? If so, I'll dip in my quill to my ink pot, keep on writing, never stop until my beating heart it flops. I'll write a whole different story. Scene one, a boy full of hope, a boy full of glory. Who stutters, I'm up to the top, would rather be top.
That is such a cool sequence. That is such a cool sequence. Let me run that back. That was so cool.
Determine the script or a play. Am I the protagonist in this tragedy, or will I be the author of stories unmade? If so, I'll dip in my quill to my ink pot, keep on writing, never stop until my beating heart it flops. I'll write a whole different story. Scene one, a boy full of hope, a boy full of glory. Who stutters, I'm up to the top, would rather be tougher and live it smoothly like butter, and not so bitter from cut up. And so I sit up and shut up. It's like I lived up and struck up the courage never to fuck up. And now I'm feeling the ruckus, feeling the static, and now I'm feeling the flames, and now I'm feeling the strength inside the ring with my pain. My boxing gloves and my hope that I trust to bust an uppercut, cut my demons up. Boom like a tsunami, smooth like a punani, bend the words like origami, Salvador, I'll be the Dali. Only love like Bob Marley, golden ticket, call me Charlie, riding Harley's Bengali, tiger style, call me Arnie. I'll be back. And I cut the slack, track your facts, relax, shit in the beast, and then seek it in the peace. And I'll reach the canopies, and yes, we climbing, building a brave new world inside a whole new designing. With all this fire, we burn like the sun. A new dawn is rising, a new dawn it comes.
So cool.
Diggity diggity down with all this corporation. They burn up the land for the greed that they run. Run deep with the...
Hold up. He literally had a stutter? Wow. I that's the first I'm hearing of it. It's the first I'm hearing of it.
The roots, but the roots can be lifted. I'll be a renegade, yes, I make a fist kid. Try to seek truth in the kingdom of lies. A boy so lost with two bloodshot eyes. Tears on my sleeves, hold on. And holes in these jeans, hold on. I haven't slept in weeks.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that at all. Like, I'm telling you, he needs a biopic.
Hold on, I haven't found no peace. Hold on, I get mighty tired. Hold on, and these tears run dry. Hold on, two bloodshot eyes. Hold on, two bloodshot eyes. Ha, ha, ha. Hold on. Hold on. Ha, ha, ha. Hold on. Hold on. Two bloodshot eyes. Hold on. Hold on. Two bloodshot eyes. Woo.
All right. So before that, oh man, my ears hurt. All right. So before we go into chapter 5, that'll be tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are honestly awesome. My hair's a mess. Thank you guys so much for being here. It was so fun. The hours just went by like it was crazy. You guys, nobody can say that there's a better community than the Renegade community, man. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. And we'll see you, man. Hopefully you guys can hang out tomorrow and we can finish this. So yeah, it starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern also. But thank you guys. I see you guys. Some of you have been here since the beginning, you know. Pixie, Ghost, you know, I don't want to start naming people because then, you know, it'll look. I'm definitely gonna miss somebody, and I don't want anybody, you know, to feel like I'm not acknowledging them. Brandy, you've been here since the beginning. Dawn, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow. And yeah, you guys, stay safe, okay? Make sure you stay safe. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. Have a good night. Or wherever you are.